Hello and welcome to our extended disc 15-minute webinar. My name is Christina Bowser and I'm the training director here at Extended Disc, and joining me today is my colleague Markku Kaupinen, president of Extended Disc.
Hi Christina, and hi everybody.
Hello. Before we get started, as always, I just want to let you guys know we are recording this, and because this is a very fast-paced webinar, it's only 15 minutes, we're not taking your questions live. However, please feel free to put your questions in the questions section, and I promise you we'll follow up with you after the webinar. So today's topic: disc styles under pressure.
Yeah, we're talking about pressure and stress again because this is always such a popular topic. I think we do this a couple of times a year. Whenever we post this webinar on our website, people sign up very quickly. So let's have a stress-free conversation about pressure and stress today.
Right, and if we don't post it, then people actually ask for it. So it definitely is a popular topic. So talking about, pressure, talking about stress, different styles react differently, right, Markku?
That's right, because what disc help us understand how we do things, and we really cannot escape our disc style. It also will show up how we deal with stress, what causes us, and how our behavior changes under pressure. So it always will show up. And in fact, I find that one of the easiest way to really identify somebody's style is to see them under pressure, because then we really revert to that natural style.
Right, and even ourselves, at Extended Disc here, we do activities outside, and one of the things we did was an escape room, and you guys know probably about what escape room is. They put you in a room, they give you X amount of time to escape, and we laugh because even though that's what we train and do, our styles still come out.
Yeah, it was really fun to observe that, because everybody became their style, and D style became very competitive, and I styles were having a lot of fun laughing, and
S styles kind of stood back.
So it will always show up, and the style will always show up, and especially in unfamiliar situations. Right. And also when there's some kind of time pressure, like in an escape room, I think it's 1 hour that you have to get out of there.
I think so. It feels faster, but yes.
When you have that kind of pressure, that kind of deadlines, that creates the pressure, and how we react to that and how we deal with that, that's when our national hardwired disc style really will show up.
And I think that's where disc can be so powerful, that, it's, as Markku always says, it's like a roadmap. It helps you predict how you will show up, or what, in this case, can be a cause of pressure or stress for you. And if you know that, then you have some ability to proactively deal with it.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in preparation, and one way to prepare for a stressful situation is to have that clear, confident self-awareness and understanding how you tend to react and what are kind of things that will cause stress. And if you go into a situation that's something that probably is not the most comfortable setting for me, I'm likely to feel pressure and eventually stress. And when you know that ahead of time, it's a lot easier to manage that and handle that. And it's also interesting to realize, like in an escape room, you have the different disc styles in any kind of team setting. Mm-hmm. What creates stress for one person is actually can be very motivating and exciting for another. So you can same setting, one person can feel the pressure right away, other person actually feels very relaxed and calm.
Right. So I mean, we're not going to go over every bullet point here, but when you think about D styles, they feel stressed when they feel a sense of loss of control. I's, I styles tend to feel pressure when there's just kind of this routine and inflexibility. C styles, when they don't have information, and in this case, I would like to just maybe zero in on one style. We're going to pick S today, just randomly. S's tend to feel stressed or pressured when they feel their environment is unstable or there's a lot of change going on.
Yeah, especially sudden unexpected changes can really cause a lot of stress for a S style, and if S style does not know that. In fact, I remember when I took a disc assessment for the first time, extended disc assessment, that's 25 years ago or something like that, and I have S tendencies, and it's said under my development areas and reactions to pressure that does not want to make big changes. And in fact, I was not aware of that, but when I'm able to kind of think about it, how do I actually behave in those kind of situations, I really had that aha moment that, hey, Marku, that is how you actually tend to behave. And having that awareness has made a huge impact in my life and my success.
Right, and in terms of awareness, sometimes we are not aware of how we show signs of stress. So by understanding our DISC style, that can help build that awareness. So, again, in this case, you think about the D style. When they're feeling pressure or stress, maybe they become kind of more easily irritated, or they're kind of just blunt, like, let's just get it done, that task orientation. For the I style, maybe they become more emotional, or they lose track of details and become disorganized. The C style, they just sometimes just like, give me more information, and they go into what we call analysis paralysis, where they can't make a decision. They're essentially frozen from too much information. And then, again, focusing on the S style. S styles, when they show signs of stress, what we may observe in that S style is they suddenly kind of may shut down or kind of become withdrawn, because they want to just kind of lock into the status quo. They're resistant to change.
Exactly, they internalize it. And really what it comes down to is, and we talked about this webinar last week when we talked about the two effect. When we are under pressure, we essentially become too much of ourselves. We begin to overuse our style to a point where it actually becomes our weaknesses. And that especially true when we're under a lot of pressure. Not only do we overuse those behaviors, but we really begin to lose our ability or willingness to modify our behavior, which obviously makes things even worse.
Right, and when you're in the situation, as Marku says, you don't have that same capacity to do it. However, if you knew ahead of time that there are certain items or behaviors that can help you alleviate that pressure or stress, and these are things that you can consciously be aware of or practice, then that gives you an advantage going into these pressure situations.
Yeah, absolutely, because really what happens is when we are under pressure, it begins to really drain our energy. And once we have an understanding of how we can alleviate those symptoms, we can then begin to recharge our energy, and that creates that willingness and ability to modify behavior, which obviously will make it easier for us to interact successfully with other team members or other employees or family, friends and family.
Right, so here again, just some examples. We're going to actually address these in the reports themselves, give you some samples. But, for a D style, if they're given some kind of sense of control, a sense of independence, that they have a choice, that helps to alleviate their pressure and stress. For the I style, if they have the ability to talk or feel like there's some more flexibility in their environment, they would feel a sense of alleviation of stress. For the C style, if they're given more information, you're able to answer their questions, they have time to process it. Again, that helps with the C style. And for the S style, I always say build rapport, give them reassurance. If they trust you, they're going to be less stressed. No surprises. Involve them in the transition as early as possible. The more information they have, the less stressed they will be.
Yeah, and you can look at this topic from two angles, if you will. One, if I'm the person who's under pressure, what do I need to do to help me alleviate that stress? But also, if I'm the manager or a colleague, what can I do to help this other individual? First, we can understand when we begin to see those signs of stress, but what can I do as a manager or coach, a friend, a colleague, to help this person begin to lower that pressure and feeling less stressed?
And not only that, what I always say is, if you know these ahead of time, can you prepare and practice for it so that you have a more effective response when that pressure shows up?
Yes, absolutely. Again, having that self-awareness allows you to prepare, and when you're experiencing it, you know what's happening. When we don't know what's happening and what can we do about it, it's much more challenging to deal with.
Right. So we just wanted to give you kind of a quick overview. However, we wanted to also show you the reports that we have that can target helping a person deal or manage their pressure and stress.
Yeah, when an individual gets their own report, we actually are obviously able to be much more specific about what is actually happening in this section of the report. And there are other sections, but we look at cause of stress. When I have that clear understanding, what are those stressors and what are actually things that will not create stress for me? Again, I have that awareness and allows me to prepare. Doesn't mean that you are not going to feel pressure or stress. We will have that, and actually that's a good thing that helps us stay motivated and moving forward. But you don't want to get to a point where the stress is so high that it actually begins to diminish your level of performance and sometimes even begin to get health issues.
Exactly. And what we're talking about, these are not in the standard report, but what's great about extended assessments is you take one questionnaire and you can generate these different types of reports. So this particular report where we're kind of pulling these examples out of is called the Stress and Time Management Report. And that's something that is available for your clients, and there's no additional questionnaire they have to take.
Yeah, let's say you have a leader, for example, they may get the leadership assessment first, but now since you have that data, you are able to provide this information, be more specific, allowing the manager, you talked about time management, typically it's that time management there, but also more specifically about the causes and symptoms of stress and how to alleviate that.
Right. So like, as Marco just mentioned, the signs of stress. Well, you can see here, these are behaviors that relate to signs of stress. And again, it's just like reading it in any other part of the report. The box itself represents your or the individual's natural style and where they fall within the spectrum for that particular behavior. So the more they fall to the right side or the more positive side, those behaviors tend to show up as or is a likely sign of stress for this person. But if it falls more on the left side, then that behavior tends not to show up as a sign of stress for this person.
One thing I often hear about this report is that how managers find it very, very helpful in dealing with their employees, because if you don't have that knowledge, it's sometimes almost baffling to notice that, hey, why is this one person so stressed about this very same situation when others really are not? And here, of course, you find the answers that it is most likely based on their behavioral style, then natural and DISC style. Often that is the cause. Now, there are other factors as can be as well, but the DISC behavioral style is always there.
Right, and I also say sometimes it's our own blind spots that we aren't aware of us coming across when we're under pressure with these behaviors. And by recognizing that, sometimes I say it gives us the greatest opportunity for our development.
No, absolutely, and we've talked about this before. I've been doing this over 20 years, and sometimes like I can feel the stress, and I go to my report and say, let me have a better understanding and get a reminder. And if there's typically some information, oh, now it makes sense. Now I understand. And more importantly, now I can manage it and I can take some action to deal with that situation.
And the other thing I like about it is if you don't choose to use these specific reports on time management and pressure situations, the specific section, reactions to stressful situations, oftentimes shows up in most of our standard reports, like the standard individual report, the sales report. And these are specific items that we don't say are your weaknesses, but things you have to be more present or cautious about.
Yeah, essentially, you want to be careful that you don't use your style too much. That too effect can be so detrimental if you don't have the awareness. And it typically is this kind of cycle. And when we feel the pressure, we begin to behave more like who our natural style predicts. But then we begin to overuse it to the extent that they become weaknesses. And now that actually creates more pressure, and it's kind of a vicious circle. And this will really help with having that confident self-awareness. What do I need to do? Prepare, and then take some specific actions to modify behavior, and how we really are viewing the situation as well.
Yeah, and usually what I tell people to do is don't look at this as a list where you have to have all items you have to deal with, but focus on a few of these items and then maybe practice or just be more consciously aware that you do tend to show up this way under pressure.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I think it's always better to focus on fewer things. Sometimes we get so overly motivated and ambitious that, hey, we look at all these things, but then it becomes overwhelming. It creates stress.
Exactly.
and it doesn't
the
work.
last thing we want to do.
Right.
So, another section that I want to show you that is available is called alleviating stress. So these are items that tend to help us when our natural style falls to the right. These are behaviors that tend to help us alleviate stress and pressure.
Yeah, because we can then relax, obviously, but also we can recharge our batteries and our energy level will go up, and that will help to deal with those pressure situations.
And, like I said, this is very quick overview. We have PowerPoints that can help you. These reports, we have the reinforcement reports, handling pressure situations, stress and time management. These are all specific targeted reports that help your clients and your employees better manage their stress based on their DISC style.
Yeah, and I always recommend that you actually look at your own specific report, because while understanding what the 4 DISC styles, how they are different and what causes stress and so on, that's a little bit more general. This will be very specific and actionable information.
Exactly. Well, thank you guys all. Boy, that time just flew by
Sure
so
did.
quickly. No pressure though. So we do have another webinar coming up. It's called Helping New Managers Succeed. You know, becoming a manager, I think, is one of the most stressful transitions. It's exciting, but it can be very stressful as well. So how can we help our new managers get off on a good start?
I think it's going to be a great topic, and it'll be a week from today, same time, 15 minutes. Always go to our website, click on the events tab on the top toolbar, and you can find all of the upcoming webinars and other events. And since we always record them, if you can't attend, just still register and you will get the recording.
All right, have a great day, guys. And this recording will be on our YouTube or our extendeddisk.org channel.